Hello again out there in radio YouTube land. This is Ham Radio Man Oz. Thank you for joining me in today's brief but hopefully interesting episode for you. Today is just more or less an update of what's coming up and what has arrived. Yes, a couple of things have arrived. Now, of course, when we were all growing up as children, we all grew up in Australia with a man called Dick Smith, who opened a chain of stores called Dick Smith Electronics. And it was so successful, it was very sad to see the demise of Dick Smith Electronics from what it used to be to what they tried to make it into, and it didn't work. Dick Smith himself was a very successful businessman, starting in electronics at a very early age, opening a store which eventually grew into a phenomenon back in the 80s and in the 70s and 80s, and it was great because you could buy all your components, you could buy everything you needed from Dick Smith Electronics. Sadly today, Dick Smith Electronics is no more. It's gone, finished, the whole chain. Dick Smith himself sold it to the Woolworths Group back, I think it was 92. I'm not 100% sure on the date, but he sold it for something like $20 million. Made a lot of money out of it. Good on him. But sadly then they took it into trying to make it into this huge store like a JB Hi-Fi and that sort of thing, selling TVs and stereos, and gone were the components, gone were those where you could go in and get a resistor, a capacitor, or whatever you needed. It turned into more of it was a pre-made item, and you went and bought, like, I still bought a couple of things from there, like a portable TV and that sort of thing. But gone were the kits, gone were the amateur radios, because Dick Smith also was an amateur radio operator, and I think he still is. I think he's still active. But also gone were those days of the electronics enthusiasts. Of course, technology was progressing more and more, but it's very sad that we can't go back. Now, the only suppliers of components these days is either online or Jaycar, and I was very strange to see the other day in my travels one Jaycar store had already closed. My local Jaycar store, which is still great for getting components from, is a fair way away from me, and there's another chain called Altronics, but then also a fair way away from me. So these days I have to get most of my components off the internet, and I'll come back to something about that very shortly. But anyway, going back to when I was a kid, we started with the Dick Smith Fun Way into Electronics, and this is volume 1 that I ordered because I lost my volume 1 and 2. I don't know what happened to them over the years, but I've lost them, so I had to find these on eBay, luckily, and could get a hold of them. So here's the original cover of the Dick Smith Funway 1, and this particular printing is the 7th printing. Now, the volume 2 7th printing I've actually got on order as well. Now, the volume 2 2nd printing I found on eBay as well, but it's a little bit more pricey. I mean, of course it's rare because it's the 2nd printing, but it's a little bit too much for me to want to pay for a 2nd printing when the 7th printings will do just fine. So that's the 7th printing of the original, and it's in perfect condition. Has all of the original diagrams and layouts and everything like that, so that's great. There's no damage to the book. That's wonderful. And that's going to be something I can pass on to my daughter at a later stage, or any of my children who might be interested in that side of things. Now, along with that, what just arrived this morning was I also ordered 1, 2 and 3 from another source, but they weren't the original covers on 1 and 2. So, but of course, nonetheless, I wanted to have them for the updates on them anyway, and to see what's different inside them. So here we have this one is the 48th printing of Funway 1, and you can see how they changed the cover. They put a kid there with some project stuff happening, and the book, it's basically the same inside. I can't see any difference. Still got the diagrams inside. It's in very good condition, the book, for after the amount of years that it's been through. And of course, one of the little projects I've already put together on my breadboard the other day, not quite the same as what was listed, but the flasher, and I'm just trying to find it here in the manual. Here we are, the flasher. And all it was basically for like model railways, where you had your little crossing sign and two LEDs would flash across each other. These are very simple layouts, and the thing is, what I like about the Funway is that the one, for starters, was no soldering required. Now, you had, with these, you could cut these out and put them on a piece of wood or a breadboard, or a baseboard back then. Not a breadboard, a baseboard. But I'm glad to see that they didn't do that. They didn't cut them out, because you don't have to cut them out. Just draw them on a piece of paper, the same diagram, put it on a piece of wood or whatever. Or these days, using breadboard kits, you can do the same thing. So that's the 48th printing of number 1. So I've got the original 7th and the 48th. And then we have the 38th printing of number 2. Again, they changed the cover design and put a kid on the front there, and some electronics there, a multimeter and stuff there. And again, this book is in excellent condition too. What's interesting to note is that Volume 1 doesn't say this. This all came from the one person. But what's interesting to note is at the back of the book, there is not only the original things that you would normally cut out for putting on the project boxes, but I'm glad to see they haven't done that. But what's interesting is there's a little sticker at the back of these at the back of the book, and I'll zoom in on that. I'll bring it up to the camera so you can see. And if you can read that, it says Australian Federal Police cancelled. Interesting. Was it part of evidence? Did it belong to the Australian Federal Police? Why has it got cancelled across it? Mystery, but interesting nonetheless. No, this book is not stolen. I bought it legitimately. And the same thing is with Volume 3. Volume 3 I never actually had, so I was actually glad to get this one, because this will be a champion later on in life. And this is the 5th printing of number 3, and it's in very, very good condition. And you see here it had the electronics thing. I've never seen an updated one of this one. I've never seen an update where they've done the cover with a kid or anything like that. This is the only one I've ever seen for Volume 3. If there is another one, I'd like to know. And again, this one was harder because it had all the project box covers again, and I'm pleased to see that this hasn't been interfered with. And this one got right into integrated circuits and PCBs and all that sort of thing. Now, these kits for these are around, a few of them around on eBay, but they're a bit rare. But I may have to make up the circuit boards for these ones at a later stage by myself. I may have to try and use something like Express PCB or something like that to try and recreate those PCBs and try to make them. But that will be at a much, much later stage, because we will be journeying this, progressing through this journey one stage at a time. Now, also, as I say, on the back cover is also that Australian Federal Police barcode, and it's got cancelled. But there's even one more interesting aspect with this particular book. Down the bottom of this book at the back, and I'll try and put that in camera so you can see, is, where is it? There it is. There is a sticker here, and it says cancelled across it, and I don't know if you can read that. I'll read it to you. What it says is Dick Smith's Funway into Electronics, edited by Sam Voron and Ross Tester, is cancelled. So what's really interesting is that Volume 1 by Sam Voron and Ross Tester was actually made. It is on eBay, and I'm looking at it at the moment and deciding whether or not to spend the money to get it, just to see what differences would be in that book. So at a later stage, we'll be going through those projects anyway, one at a time. I know it's very basic stuff to start with and that, but I think it'll be a little bit of fun, nostalgic fun, to go through those and see what we can do by creating all the projects in 1, 2 and eventually 3. So they're coming up. Now, another thing I wanted to talk about was when you're buying components on eBay, or because that's pretty much the only source you can get them at the moment. Now, I want to talk about the quality of components you can actually get. Some are good, some are not very good at all. Do they work? Some work and do the job, but I wouldn't find them very effective. For example, I bought a whole pile of resistors out of China, about 60 different values or something, all quarter watt resistors, 5% tolerance, just basic hobby resistors. Now, of course, they all arrived, there's no problem, all the values are correct. The resistance levels might vary marginally, depending. But what I'm really disappointed about is the quality of the leads coming off them. Now, I have one of them, for example, in my hand, and this is going to be very, very hard for you to see on camera. But this resistor, if I can put that in camera focus, the resistor's fine, but the thickness and quality of the lead coming off that is extremely poor. It's very, very thin. It's so thin that I think that any voltage across there that would be more than a couple of milliamps might just even dissolve the wire. Now, I'm not 100% sure on that, but I just think it's very, very poor quality indeed. But it was only a couple of dollars anyway for all these different values of resistors. So to be sort of to put more in perspective, I'm disappointed with the quality of the resistors, but not for the price. The price was all right. So for basic hobby electronics, these will be okay. But if you wanted to do something like a major serious project, I certainly wouldn't use these in a major project, because I don't think they would last too long. The resistance level might just completely fizzle out and drop, or the resistor could burn out. So for basic projects like what we're going to be doing, I'll be fine. But for any major projects, I think I'd want to think a lead and a better quality resistor. I do have some metal film resistors that are 1% tolerance, which are a little bit better, and also better leads. But one supplier or two suppliers I just recently got some parts from, I'm very happy with. And one of them I'm going to mention here. I don't mind, I'll give him a plug. He's called Solder On eBay. Solder On. Now, I bought some components from him. I got here the 1N4742 Zener diodes in a pack. They're extremely good quality. The good leads, they're good quality, probably high-end quality. So Solder On, excellent. I'll be buying from him again for more components. And the other one is that I'll mention today is called Tron FX Electronics. I bought some 1N4007 1000 volt 1 amp silicon diodes, and again, extremely good quality. You can see the sticker on the bag there from Tron FX Electronics, and they're very, very high quality Zener diodes, good quality leads, everything. So there's two suppliers on eBay that will definitely be getting more business from me. So just be careful when you're buying components on eBay. It's very, very hard to look at the quality of the leads, and you don't know until you get them in the mail. Now, I have ordered some more resistors from another source to see if there's any better quality. It seems like resistors might be the hardest thing to find that really good quality on eBay. Now, if you go to JCar, of course, you can buy them. They're going to be good quality. But yes, so when you do find a good supplier or a good component supplier, please, if you have someone that you know, someone in mind, leave a comment below, let me know. I would love to know who you use to get your parts online from. Now, I'm talking online because I could go down to JCar, I could go to Altronics, but the convenience of being able to order them online and have them delivered is what it's all about. So if you have someone that you've used before to order your components from, that you could say are really great quality components, please let us all know. Leave a comment below, okay? That would be wonderful. So I guess at the end of the day, this has been a very brief video, and all I can say is thank you again for joining me. Please leave a thumbs up, comment, rate, subscribe my videos, and stick with my channel, and mention me to your friends so that we can get this channel really high, get some subscribers and all that, because the more that are joining in, the more that are watching these videos, the better they're going to get, and the more interesting I will try to make them. And from the little flasher circuit from Funway 1, which I've put together on my breadboard, which isn't quite 100%, because instead of using 548 transistors, I've used 547s. Instead of using Axel type capacitors, I've used the dual lead capacitors. And of course, instead of using I've used a few slightly different variations of components anyway, but this is just laid out, and it's probably not working the way it actually should because of the different transistors or capacitors, but it works. So from my little flasher friend and me, I know it's basic electronics, guys, but it's fun. From Ham Radio Man Oz, I'd like to say a big cheers and 73s.